Welcome to our Thursday morning class. Sorry we were a little bit late. We were just chatting about humidifiers and dehumidifying. So let's start off with some mobilization of the spine, energizing the spine. I'm just going to move that camera a little bit as well so we can see well. Our usual knocking on the door of life, so feet shoulder width apart. Nice and tall through the spine, crown of the head over the pelvis. And then just start off gently rotating. We'll play around today with a little bit of balance again. Just breathing easy in and out through the nose. And just letting the arms just tap lower back and belly. So just letting the elbows bend, keeping the shoulders relaxed. And just bring your attention to the base of the spine and deep into the base of the hips, the sacrum, and just that little bit of movement in the base of the spine. And gradually work your way up. Visualize each vertebra rotating on top of the one below. And keeping the spine long, so you're creating space between each vertebra as well. Working up the lower back. And then come up to the mid back, between the shoulder blades. Really sense the spine between the shoulder blades, the upper back, the thoracic spine, lengthening upwards. And then keep standing tall, coming up to the base of the neck, all the way up to the skull. And just feel that very subtle rotation through the neck. Breath is just light and soft through the nose. Long, tall spine. Getting the blood flowing. Oiling the spine. And then just slow it down into water waves. And feel that resistance now. And really just take your time just to notice the shoulder joints. And get that idea of spiraling. So it's like you're just gently pushing the air or water, if you're thinking of pushing water away. So get that spiral through the shoulders, through the elbows, through the wrists. The slower you go, the more you can sense and feel the ease. Again, have that idea of oiling the joints. And then hips. Visualize the head of the femur bone, the top of the leg, gliding in the hip joint. Knees. Again, just that little bit of softness in the knees. And then down to the feet and the ankles. Feel the feet contacted to the ground, grounded. But then how the ankles, there's that movement through the ankle, rotation through the ankle. Very subtle weight shift in the feet as well. And slow it down. And just take a moment. Those slow movements are really nice, just to take your time to bring awareness to various areas of the body. Let's bending the knees, going into spinal cord breathing. So extending and opening the front of the chest. And then tucking the tailbone, squeezing in. Expanding, this time looking up, opening up the rib cage. Expanding. Breath in, breath out. We were having an interesting conversation on Zoom just before. And Christine was talking about maybe it's a little bit more challenging to breathe when it's a little bit colder. And we were thinking about hibernation and humidity. But actually, just doing this movement, I just thought of another thing. Because if it's a little bit colder, we tend to maybe huddle up a little bit more. If it's a little bit warmer, we tend to open up a little bit more. So it's really important to have the space to be able to breathe when we move, when we walk, when we run. And I always say to people, if you're outside and it's a little bit cold, think warm. But if you think a little bit warmer, then it helps to open up the space, open up the chest, because our posture is very much affected by how we feel. Couple more. Breath in. And breath out. And then take a rest. So if we go outside and it's cold, and everything huddles in. If we're feeling a little bit depressed, a little bit sad, then everything comes into this sort of like posture position here. If we're feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit warmer, then you've got the space here to breathe in. Just a thought, just a hypothesis, but something to consider as well. Let's do a bit of dog wags the tail. So shifting side to side. We're doing this to get that spine moving side to side. Lateral movement. So hips lead, and then that spine wobbles on top, waves on top. Head is the last thing to follow. And as always, keep that spine long. So you create the space, you lift and lengthen. Good. hips leading, spine follows. And slow it down. Just another one to help with that lateral movement of the spine, that side bend. So one palm facing down, just gently, almost like pushing down. So it's almost like you've got a little bit of resistance as you push down there. And then the other palm reaching up. And then create that space, lengthen up down the side of the ribs there. And then swap. So you get little fingers spiraling, spiraling, spiraling. And then opposite side. Just keep tall at the moment. So just keep that spine tall, but feel that expansion through the side of the ribs. And again, swap sides. If you can feel that expansion in the ribs. Good, lengthen. And then the next one, we can have just that little bit of side bend. So you're extending here and then bending the spine, that lateral movement. So keeping tall in the middle, keep tall, keep tall, keep tall. And then that side bend, so you get that little bit more balance, stay tall. Couple more each side. Should feel quite nice and springy perhaps. It's almost like it springs back and then take a rest. Let's have a little shake. And that always makes me want to just take a fuller breath in. And using that cleansing and clearing breath. You can keep your feet on the ground, or if you want to use the heels to create a little bit more vibration, whatever feels right for you. Get the shoulders moving. Bring the arms into it, bring the wrists, keep those shoulders going. Let's do one more breath. And then just go half speed, slow it down, slow it down. Good. And take a rest. Feel the energy flowing. Letting the breath settle. And then just bringing your feet a little bit closer together. Let's just do that balance, really subtle balance, where we're just gently shifting the weight to the balls of the feet and then just gently shifting to the heels. And the idea with this is that you keep the spine long. And see if you can feel that you're not locked, so I'm not rigid to keep the spine long, But there's that little bit of a very subtle wave, so it's like a very small spinal cord breathing. It's a very small version of this sort of wave movement. So as you shift forwards, and then as you shift back, there's like that lengthening of the spine, balancing the head on top. So there's hardly any movement, but just get that sense of gentle flow in the spine, so we don't get locked and rigid. And see if you can soften into the hips a little bit, so we're not holding tension. See if you can breathe into the hips a little bit, so that we're not tightening everything down here just to balance. Think how you feel when we're doing the bamboo in the wind, where you're just letting your body find its natural balance. Here we're just exaggerating that movement a little bit, and we've got our feet a little bit wider, but still see if you can get that sense of that gentle movement through the spine. So we always think of balance exercises as having to be really challenging, but actually if somebody's just learning how to be aware of balance and center of gravity, or even if you're not just learning, even if we're just coming back to that fine body sensing, that idea of where is our center of gravity, how are we aligned with gravity? So it's our natural tendency to move, when we're moving forwards, is to bring our center of gravity forwards, to work with gravity. But what tends to happen, what may happen, is that we start to fear falling forward, so we start to lean back. So just get that confidence in just that gentle rock forwards. And then just getting your feet maybe slightly wider apart, we'll just take that into raising onto the bubbling spring. If you've got the ankles issue, just continue just with this gentle rock forwards and backwards. If we've now got used to this and confident in our balance, then we can just come up onto the balls of the foot. So you're just raising the bubbling spring and then very slowly lowering back down. I'll just stand back so I think you can see there fully. So again, raising the bubbling spring, slowly back down. And remember that point on the ball of the foot, the ball just behind the big toe, the bubbling spring. Use that point. Good, slowly back down. Now it's easy just to rock and then drop back down, but I want you just to really take your time to balance and then slowly back down. And it's not about pushing, it's about moving your center of gravity forwards and then just balancing so that you don't fall forwards. It's very different from just standing here and just pushing yourself up like this. It's a very subtle shift forwards, stand tall, slowly back down. Balance. Really good for strengthening the feet, strengthening the ankles. Couple more. And slowly back down. Good, take a rest. Give your legs a little bit of a shake. So you might feel that has really worked the calf muscles, the ankles. It's a really good practice. You're practicing your balance and you're strengthening the lower legs. Next thing we'll do, let's go into the tiger. Now when we're doing this, I'll just show you, exaggerate the movement. So we're going into the normal tiger, you go comfortable, you don't have to go too deep. As you're coming out of that tiger, very subtly shift the weight forward. So it's almost like I'm going to move forwards. So you subtly shift the weight onto the balls of the foot. We're not coming up onto the balls of the feet. We just can't even say it. Subtly shifting the weight forwards to come up to standing. We're still using the heels. We're still using the floor. And that camera's gone. Hang on. Bear with me, the battery has gone on that camera. Hang on. Why is this not working? So go into the tiger. That's good. How bizarre. There we go. Sorry about that. So you can't see my feet now. Can see everybody's continuing on Zoom, that's great. So I'm just going to disappear off the camera. There we go, bye. And as you come forwards, just very subtly use the bubbling spring. It's a very subtle movement. Come down. Then very subtly. Good. So everybody going at your own comfortable pace, just breathing easy. Standing tall at the top. Coming back up. Let's do one more. Good. And then take a rest. Excellent. Let the breath settle. And then I want just to explore one other little thing with the tiger, and we looked at it, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, but I want to get the difference between getting to the point where you're lowering your center of gravity here, this is really difficult because we haven't got the full camera, but I can show you there, lowering my center of gravity here, and then before I start to tip forwards here. So I want you to get to the point where you can comfortably, I'm just going to have a look over there, or I'm going to have a look over there. So you've almost got your chest facing forwards, and then I'm just going to have a little rotate around there, and a little rotate around there, and then I'm going to come back up. So let's have a little play with that. So we don't want to be getting to that point where we're just then tilting forwards. That's okay if we're going into the crawl, but see how low you can go here, and then you can have a little rotate and then come back up. And when you rotate, I want you to keep the pelvis there. So I don't want the legs moving. I want there and then just the spine. So it's not a big rotation. It's just the spine rotating. There's a little bit of movement in the hips, but we're not doing this. And then come back up. And down. Now I can't see the time. What time is it? Yeah. Good. So keep low. That's good. So you're maybe not going as low. And then come back up. And maybe you could afford to go sometimes a little bit wider. If we're too tight here, then we're like this. So maybe we could go a little bit wider on the hips, lower, but I can then, I'm going to have a look over there, and I'm going to have a look over there. Good, and then come back up. Let's do a couple more. So we're getting that little bit of rotation through the spine, not forcing anything. Breathing easy. Let's do one more, keeping the shoulders down so we get some rotation too through that upper back. Doesn't have to be a big movement. Good. And then take a rest, shaking your legs out. Just letting the breath settle. And then we will just finish off. We'll do pulling down the heaven in 6 directions. Can I do it I'm going to take the light out, but we can do it in 6 directions. Palms up, rotate, overhead, and down through the center. Rotate from the shoulders, palms up, elbows soft. Rotate. I'm going to take that light out, overhead, down through the center. Palms facing up. Rotate. Good, and then thumbs are connected, hands resting on your belly, just bringing your feet together. And then just notice now how there's that natural, gentle rock and sway. So now we're not doing anything, we're just letting the body rock and sway as it wants to. Eyes closed. Letting the body just find its natural balance. And then just when you're ready, taking a slightly fuller breath in, opening your eyes at the top of that breath, stepping out, giving yourself a gentle brush down. Excellent, and we will finish there. A reminder, on Saturday I have an hour's workshop. I'm doing an hour of Unlock the Power of Breath, 2 till 3 on Saturday. If you're members of the Breathe Balance Move group, that's free for you, so register if you haven't registered. Otherwise I'll put a link underneath these videos and you can join that session. I'm going to go over the principles of the oxygen advantage. So again, with the Breathe Balance Move group, it's quite nice, just a reminder of those basic principles of the oxygen advantage. And then we'll obviously do some practice, and we'll do some more Qigong practice with a focus on the breath. So I will hopefully see you on Saturday, 2 till 3 UK time. If I don't see you Saturday, I'll see you hopefully next week. So have a fantastic rest of the day. Thanks for joining today, and see you later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.